Legislation that would designate St. Croix a national heritage area is now on President Joe Biden's desk for signing. The National Heritage Area Act, which includes the provision sponsored by Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, was passed by the House and in September was introduced in the Senate by Angus King, senator from Maine and chair of the U.S. Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources National Parks Subcommittee.
I was proud to join Senators Portman and Daines to introduce this bill, and I look forward to hearing testimony on it today. I was also proud to introduce the Senate companion to a House bill introduced by our colleague Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands. This bill would establish the St. Croix National Heritage Area on the island of St. Croix. I think it is important for us to work together to ensure the voice of our citizens in the territories are also heard.
The measure assigns the Virgin Islands State Historic Preservation Office as the local coordinating entity to oversee and develop programs and projects that recognize, protect, and enhance important resource values in the heritage area. Importantly, it makes federal funding available to develop recreational and educational opportunities to inform and engage youth on the heritage of St. Croix. Plaskett, a member of the House Ways and Means Budget and Agriculture Committees, spoke to consortium journalists late on Wednesday about the significance of this bill's approval. Quote, "It is important for economic development, tourism, and indeed cultural identification and validation to have federal government support historic markers and designation throughout the country," she said. Markers in national parks allow visitors to have an interpretation of the importance of the site. National heritage areas are sites designated by an act of Congress intended to encourage historic preservation of the area. National heritage areas are places where historic, cultural, and natural resources combine to form cohesive, nationally important landscapes, the Congresswoman concluded. Until this week, there were only 55 NHAs in the U.S., Congresswoman Plaskett said. Over a decade ago, the National Park Service completed a study that was legislated in 2003 and found that the USVI's Big Island met the criteria to be designated a National Heritage Area, Plaskett explained. In addition to the NHA measure, separate legislation sponsored by Congresswoman Plaskett to direct the Secretary of the Interior to install a plaque at the peak of Ram Head in the USVI National Park on St. John to commemorate the 1733 slave rebellion will also soon be signed by President Biden as part of the sweeping omnibus bill that was agreed by Congress this week. The plaque, says Plaskett, will, quote, "commemorate the rebellion and raise awareness of the significance of the location."